I'm Gabe Lullo, and welcome to the Do Hard Things podcast. We're talking to go-to-market leaders and entrepreneurs who have conquered the challenges, the hustle, and the grind. Get ready for real talk, real insights, and no fluff.
But the hardest thing in the world right now is not actually closing deals, it's actually getting somebody's attention.
If you don't have that hook in that first 5 to 10 seconds, guess what? They're going to scroll to the next one.
You need to go in and you need to make it sound like yourself. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And I promise you, we can all tell.
The people that are trolls and the people that are haters never done the thing that you're doing.
I love doing this podcast because I get a front row seat to some of the greatest minds in sales.
Gone are the days of saying stay in your lane. When you're an executive leader and you're an enterprise-wide leader, there are no lanes. You've got to be partners.
Curiosity is like when the type of questions you ask is sometimes the value that you bring.
I need you to tell me when you're ready to buy or what you're ready to do. And I think it's changed so much into like adding more value. And if you're not doing that, then you're definitely going to come off as desperate.
High pressure selling is like a dinosaur tactic at this point.
No parent is like, oh, you should be a salesperson when you grow up, right? Everyone's like a doctor, lawyer, whatever crap. It's never salespeople.
It's not your job to motivate people. It's your job to find motivated people.
It's not cockiness. It's not arrogance. It's confidence knowing I know this and I know that I can help you.
From where I started to where I am today is all because I learned how to sell.
And there's too many people who have only been doing this for 5 freaking minutes. Sit down, close your mouth, actually go out there and get yourself beat up. Then come back and tell me if something is dead or not.
That is exactly why I started this podcast, because right there, that's the epitome of doing hard things.
Welcome back to the Do Hard Things podcast with Lexi and Gabe. Today's guest is a storyteller at heart and a marketing leader who knows how to turn that story into real business growth. Justin started in a newsroom where he learned how to connect with audience through powerful storytelling. He took that skill into the world of marketing, helping brands craft messages that resonate and really drive sales. Whether launching something new or turning around a struggling product, Justin knows how to uncover the real value and build a story people care about. He's a fractional VP of marketing, go-to-market advisor, and proud dad of 4, always looking for the next great story to tell. Justin, welcome to the show.
Justin, welcome to the show, man. We're super excited that you're here.
Yeah, same, Gabe. I remember having you on my podcast maybe a year or so ago. So I feel like full circle, get to be on yours. Very excited.
Yeah, exactly. Double podcasting. I love it. I appreciate your time. Lexi and I are super pumped to ask you a bunch of questions and learn about all the tricks and trades and all the things you're doing right now. But I want to go back, right? Because, no one really grows up saying that, hey, they want to rescue underperforming products, right? Or craft go-to-market strategies. But here you are helping brands really rediscover, their value and talking about powerful storytelling. But we just need to know, like, where did this come from? What's your origin story? How did you go from, the newsroom to becoming, go-to-market leader and a trusted brand advisor?
Yeah, I'm just in it for the money. No, I think,
I know it.
yeah. No, I think growing up, storytelling truly, like, I was on the announcements every morning in high school. I was that guy, just loved like hosting all the assemblies, right? They were called. That was me. I just loved doing that. I would start the chants at the football games. Shamelessly, that's who I was. So when I went to college, I just thought, what's that thing that I can kind of keep doing that a little bit? And I just landed on the news, and I dabbled with, being the weatherman, and I did sports reporting. Like I did the women's soccer games and a few different sports. I went to BYU, and it was fun. I just thought, okay, that's going to be my career. And then I started doing internships and actually getting into that world. And just people that actually liked me and took an interest in me were like, what are you doing? Get out while you still can. This is like the worst career, and it could have been really fun, but I took that storytelling piece because the way it worked, if you did journalism and broadcast journalism in college, you'd take the huge camera, you'd set it up, you'd do an as live, you'd pretend like you're live. And then, it was a one-man band type of a thing. So then I kind of turned that into, well, I could do some videography. So my first marketing jobs were actually videography. I was editing, I was shooting, joined a really funny company called Precoa that pre-need company of America. We help people pre-plan their funerals and then offered insurance plans to help pay for it. Really interesting, very tech forward, but we had a whole videography team. So I joined that first, then became part of more general marketing team, then took on like almost a field enablement role and helped train the field sales. And then it was, I got to go to business school because I actually really love this. And then it kind of just went from there into early stage startup. So that's the path. It wasn't, I still, podcasting's kind of my outlet now. Like I still get to, get in front of a camera occasionally and hear my voice. But yeah, that's been the path. So it's been fun, but I love what I do now. So
Love it.
That's awesome. And I love the background, the newsroom, and that's so cool being broadcasting. What do you think that newsroom taught you about connecting with people that you still use today in marketing?
oh yeah, I mean, got to know how to talk to people. What's in it for me with them is just like when you are creating content, when you're messaging and positioning for a product, services, or just a brand, company, whatever it is. It's like, okay, well, why is this going to matter to the marketing executive or sales executive or whoever we're building products for? I typically speak in like B2B SaaS, right? That's where I'm thinking of just it's pretty clear. You identify your ICP, and then it's like, okay, how is this contact actually going to matter? So what's in it for me is like a big part of journalism that I think I kind of parlayed over. And then, interviewing people, writing like you talk, not just boring kind of, like actually writing conversationally. And I think that's a big part of it too. And then I love a deadline, I mean, it was like, you're 20 years old and you get a story at 6 a.m. and by noon you have to have shot. So you film, write, record, edit, and get the B-roll and everything. It's like the craziest sprint. And then you don't finish. There is a black screen for a minute and a half with your name on it. You know, I mean, it was a local channel. It was channel 11. My mom and a few other moms were watching it, but like, you didn't want that to happen. So I love a deadline. I love that aspect. I think it's been beneficial. Like I do think people, I mean, a lot of people can just jump right into entrepreneurship or jump right into their first job. I think doing something different like that was beneficial. I did enjoy it.
Right. So storytelling for me is big too, right? Running a sales firm, I always teach all of our new sellers, hey, you're not here to sell, you're here to tell stories. And I'm old, so I actually had to go to physical sales conferences as opposed to all these webinars. But when I was young, I go to sales conferences and there's this one guy I'm taking notes and he's talking and he's like, your job is to be a storyteller, right? And he started saying story selling versus storytelling. And it got me thinking, like, oh, that's really cool story
I like
selling,
that.
right? Because it's really our job as sales people, but also it's marketing's job, right? It's marketing's job to really lay out the story. Maybe it's sales job to tell the story, but still it's marketing to figure out what the premise is, what the actual storyline is, who the actors are, who are the characters in the story. And so walk me through that because you touched on it a little bit, right? When you first realized that storytelling could actually drive revenue, was there like a moment where you can link that between, message and marketing and how that really clicked?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, when I was so that company was called Percoa, we had an underperforming product that basically if you died within farther than 75 miles from the funeral home where you have your plans set up. I know, funeral, I'm saying the F word, funeral. Sometimes people go a little leery, but we're all going to die. Chill out. But if you pass away that far away, it's a lot to like get the remains. So we offered this product that would just pay for all. It was like a one-time fee, and if you were in Europe, you like it would all get worked out automatically, and it had great returns for us. Like it was very profitable for us, but people weren't selling it. And so I went out in the field and just started interviewing the people that were selling it really well. And it's like all of a sudden we crafted this whole story that we then enabled the entire field team on telling basically. And it just, all it took was like one story of someone passing away in Europe. It took, we pretty much lined up what that storytelling looked like. And within months, like an extra $1 million in sales of just that one product across the field. And then it was 2 million and it grew from there. And I love too, like even simplifying it down one more level. Cause I do love, I've never had a quota, so I've never been like full on salesperson, but as I've interviewed for different roles, I'm like, I'm your sales guy that's actually in marketing. Like I will close deals, I will jump in the sales seat. But what we distilled it down to, it was one line. It was just, hey, we include this. It was called out of area protection. We include OAP in all of our deals. And then you just move on. Like you do a little storytelling and then you just say, we include this. And then it's kind of an opt out type of situation. And that just taught me that like scripting, storytelling, how you actually deliver in a sales call it's not just like, oh, they're going to want it or not, or hey, this product is amazing or not. No, you have to deliver on the scripting and how you tell the story. And so that became okay. Now I need to actually take the business school classes, and I can't just, do the journalism classes and broadcasting and things like that. So I went back to business school. And then from there, it's been early stage startups, pre-series A companies. And it's got to be a compelling story. It can't just be a great product. Like the story has to be wrapped around it. Otherwise, I mean, it doesn't get there. It doesn't get used. It doesn't get the experiences of customers using it. You can't turn that into more storytelling. It's like you have to have a compelling reason to get the word out. So it's been fun. That's kind of the first experience. Then every company and group I've worked for there's always been some way that kind of unlocks growth, right? And it's not just, oh, change the header on the website and all of a sudden sales come in, but it's just how does the outbound change? How does the subject line change in our emailing? How does like you just start to craft every piece of it, and the aggregate, if you change all those different things, then it really does unlock growth.
Yeah. So something I think is really cool that you've been able to do, and you've kind of touched on this so far, is reviving a product. What's your approach when you walk into a product that's already losing momentum or is in trouble and they really need you?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is just reverse engineering, right? Like who's doing it well? Is anyone doing it well? And then you go interview those people and you figure out. I love a book, The Mom Test. It's actually a product management book, but it helps you ask questions so that you're not leading, so you don't like, hey, I'm guessing like I think this is going to be answer, so let me just lead you to get that answer that I'm looking for. It's a very short book. It's like a, 60-minute flight. You can read it, but it just teaches you how to interview people. And I've used that. I after business school, I went into product marketing first before kind of just early stage growth marketing, and just general, leadership. And that Mom Test book I've used in every role and almost every interview. It's just how do I ask questions to really understand the pain, what's working, what's not working, but without leading. And so when it comes to underperforming products, like I love that the work's already done. Like we have something to sell, right? I mean, I joined companies where it's like, what are we even selling? Like it's not even established yet, right? The product's not even quite there. So the fact that there is something, that we have sales, that there are some good customer experiences, it's like, why is this thing underperforming if we've already ticked off all those boxes? So I do love that opportunity because it takes some interviewing, it takes some research, it takes a lot of times, product marketing, like repositioning it. What's the messaging? Why is this not like, are we selling to the right person, the right ICP? So I love that aspect of it, and then delivering on it, kind of, launching something, relaunching something. It's been fun. Every company, I was at Motivosity for a minute. We rebranded the whole, like we called it something different. It was rewards and recognition. And then we called the whole product suite something completely different because we realized the market was going in a different direction. So I mean, that's fun. Building's fun too. It's just like, you just have to wait. You just have to, it's not all up to you. You're waiting on the product team to finish it. And then you find out that version V1 isn't quite there. And then you have to go to V2 and you're just like, ugh. So I love, like, if there's a product that there are some wins already, it's like, give me that one every time. Cause I think we could make some magic happen for sure.
Let's drill down when you said it isn't right there, right? So, launching products are hard, as we all know.
Yeah.
But to your point, relaunching or reinventing or rebranding old products is, I think, significantly harder.
Oh, it
So,
is.
what are the mistakes, right, that you've seen companies make when they're trying to refresh a brand? where those pitfalls live, and what have you seen in your career to navigate that, and how can we tell our audience to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's this concept of going into stealth.
Hmm.
Like, I've been a part of a company where, V1 wasn't quite it. And then it's like, well, let's turn it all off. Let's go into stealth mode and then build the next thing. It's like, no, you are constantly building a audience. And that audience, if they get behind not just your products, but the actual brand and the community that you've built, and then even the leadership team. Like you guys have been a part of obviously this incredible alley-oop sales organization, but you've been a part of SaaS companies and tech. And it's like a lot of times when you buy software, like you don't just get to know an SDR and an AE. A lot of times it gets pushed to, founder, or gets pushed to like a lot of times you get to know the team. You see them on LinkedIn, you follow them, like whatever products you're using. I've got a nice stack of like Instantly, Clay, I love Apollo. Like I follow the leadership teams. I see what they're doing of those companies. And so this concept of stealth, especially when it comes to relaunches, like, yeah, Silicon Valley gives, $1 billion investment to some stealth company that doesn't even have a product anymore. Okay, I get that they're not out in the forefront, showcasing things. But at the same time, if you're relaunching, if you already have customers and you're changing things, like communicate that, get that out there. People will follow that. Well, that's an interesting story. These guys did this and now they're pivoting. We've thought about pivoting. So you get people engaged in like the build in public concept and things like that. So I mean, I don't know that I get out of bed for like kind of a failed product and then let's relaunch necessarily, but at the same time, like if you have happy customers and you've identified an even better opportunity, I mean, that sounds great because you're gonna have people that are gonna be able to use your product as soon as it's ready, as opposed to like, well, let's build something and then hope we can sell it. So it's been a challenge the times that I've gone through it, but it's also just been the best learning experiences. Just build in public, be posting on. You guys are fantastic at it. I tell now that I'm doing fractional work, I have 4 different startups that are all pre-series A essentially. And it's just like, you guys, stop worrying about the post on the business page. Everyone on the leadership team needs to be posting. I had a conversation with one that's like, hey, we only saw 2 posts on the business page. I'm like, you posted once last week. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you not posting is where we lose impressions. So anyways, that's a whole, I feel like that was something I had to get out.
No, let's double down on that, because I mean, statistically, it's proven, right? If you look at Gary Vaynerchuk's, you know, brand page, company page, and what his personal page done, it's like 100x just the engagement and followers. You look at Elon, right? His personal X versus X's X, right? It's like people's who are the heads of companies, the face of the company, the executive team per se of the company's personal brand. She's statistically significantly more important and more engaging than their company's personal brand or pages. So yeah,
Well,
I just wanted that
that's
on that. What are your thoughts?
one thing I love, and just to share with your listeners on the podcast, is I love LinkedIn newsletters. Gabe, you do one, because the business page does not like it. You are not guaranteed to see those posts. I mean, it's like a couple hundred impressions typically, even with like thousands of followers. You just don't see it. The newsletter on the other end, if you start a newsletter, all of the people that follow your page get an invite immediately as like a notification. And then every time that newsletter goes out, typically they'll get an email and a LinkedIn notification about that newsletter. So I've told every group that I've worked with and people that do, just full-time email marketing or do newsletter building, or it's like, oh, I noticed that you have your brand on LinkedIn, but you don't have a newsletter attached. It's like, you realize anything you distribute on the page is really like, you're going to get a tenth of your following that's going to see it. You got to do the newsletter. That's really how to get that out there. So I love that you guys do one. And anyways, that's just something I've discovered and pushed every group that I've worked with, is like, we got to get that newsletter going and built on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree 100%. And a little bit of a shift here. You work across marketing, sales, and a lot of people have that misalignment. How do you get those teams aligned when they're often speaking totally different languages?
Yeah. I mean, it helps if you can speak the same language. I mean, that's like, if you are speaking 2 different languages, you're gonna run into some hurt. I, when we launched a brand new kind of messaging positioning, like the whole package, at Motivosity, I closed the first couple deals with the new messaging. So it wasn't like product marketing and the marketing team just gave the sales team a script to use. It was like, no, the non-sales guy just closed our first deal using this script. So, and we'd always give some flexibility. I'm not like, there's definitely camps where it's like, hey, sales needs to follow a script, and I'm not part of that camp, but leadership, overall was like, we need to hold pretty close to a script. So I write the whole script and then was able to say, hey, here's the 3 companies I closed using this script. Right. So
Right.
a lot of belief and social proof like that, I think really helps. And then just being in the trenches. My first startup out of business school, um, I joined, we were doing about 30 million in ad spend and they wanted to build a SaaS product for recurring revenue. So I joined with a VC background and just everything that I had done. It's like, hey, build us a recurring revenue product. So I joined as I was product manager. I was over product marketing. Eventually, I was like generating demand, and so I kind of got the whole thing. Had a team, and everything. And I also was like managing the sprints of the product team and dev and everything. So what did I do? Well, I picked up disc golf. I picked up frisbee golf so I could go hang out with the developers, and make sure that we were very friendly because I was going to have a need that I needed them to do in 24 hours. And if it was just coming from the marketing room, like just a, hey, build this for us, that's gonna fall on deaf ears. They're gonna get frustrated about it. If it's if it's the friend that just played 18 holes of disc golf with them the day before, it's gonna land different. So that's, I mean, it sounds maybe strategic and manipulative, but I now play. There's a little local disc golf tournament that I go with no one else. It's just me going to play in the tournament. Like I picked up a hobby and now I get to go do those things. So I think that's like a big part is you gotta sales team is going out to lunch. Like even if you're busy and if you're in marketing or another team, like just go do it. Like that's the time when you're going to become a homie and you just got to get involved with the teams that way. And then all of a sudden you're speaking the same language.
Yeah. So you mentioned teams. Let's talk about this because running marketing teams is, what you're best at. So what do you look for? What do you don't want? Who do you not want on your team? Like when you're building an actual team, where does that where does that go for you? Like what are you looking for? How do you interview? How do you lead people in regards to marketing? Because I always say marketing is the most vague word in business, right? Like you got copywriters, you got, videographers, you got social marketing, you got email marketing, I mean, there's so much specificity in marketing and it's such a huge word. Um, what do you look for when you're trying to find people? Because to me, that's really challenging when you're sourcing people in marketing because you kind of want a generalist, but maybe you don't. You want someone super specific. So how do you get all these very creative people who are very different personality wise to work cohesively together to be rowing in the same direction in this very creative type mind?
Yeah. Disc golf. Just disc golf, everything. No,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, the answer is it's changed every year. I mean, AI now, I hate to say it, it breaks my heart people leaving undergrad looking for general marketing roles, but it's like I mean, I had a team of about, I never went super late stage, but I was at a growing tech company. I had about a team of 8 underneath me and man, that team now would be me and maybe 2, with just how much AI can do and then just AI's enabled like overseas talent and nearshore talent. And it's like it's crazy how much those teams have shrunk. Now I look for like, can you use tools? Really? It's like, can you, it's not just like, can you work hard? It used to be like, are you dedicated? Do you care? Like that was the big things that I would look for. Like, are you going to be excited coming into work? Cause I'm an excited person. So like if I'm dealing with people that go home and kind of complain about what they're doing all day. It's like, even if you're doing good work, that's going to be tough to like deliver on expectation. So I always looked for, when hiring, always looking for people that were excited, that would bring energy, not suck energy. Um, and then just who can quickly use tools. Cause I mean, it's crazy to me. I was at a company where, like, when we wanted to save money, we would do a freeze on buying software. And in my head, to this day, it is such a baffling concept to like, hey, we're doing a hiring freeze and we're not buying any new software because we're trying to save money. And it's like, okay, let's take a step back here. Like, what is software actually supposed to do? Not necessarily
Right.
replace humans, but it's supposed to make you like significantly more efficient. So it's just, so you're saying we're not going to look for additional tools to help us do more with the team that we're kind of stuck with, since we're not in growth. Anyways, I mean, I could just, it's crazy. The worst is, it's usually tech SaaS companies that do like a holding pattern. And it's like,
Right.
you're banking on people buying your software and we're on a buying freeze. Like, what signal are you sending to the market? So, so for me, I look for people that can use those tools, because massively, like, as soon as, and it's so cheap. I mean, it's like Canva. Canva is $12 a month. And it's like,
Right.
we're going to fight. Oh man, can we afford Canva for another one of our users, just so we can easily share the documents and they can even do little edits?
Right.
Like, yeah, are you $12? What are you paying this person? Like, of course, $12 for the month is going to be worth it. So, big proponent of, obviously, if you have too much tech, then you're, context switching and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, my gosh, get as much software to help you be as efficient as possible. And that's just, so when I look for people now, it's like, who can use the tools, who can use the technology really effectively, and then go from there. And it's smaller teams, and just bring the excitement and energy. And then that's where, I think that's how you build the best teams, today.
Yeah. And a lot of leaders tend to chase trends. So, what do you do when you're working with a team where a leader has a lot of ideas and it feels like a lot of pressure on the performance and they keep pivoting?
Yeah. Oh, I love a good trend. I'll chase a trend all day. No, I like, your question is super valid. How do you recognize something that's gonna peter out? I mean, when it kind of depends on what it is, right? That's how the MBA people are terrible, because they just say it depends to every answer. That's how they answer everything. Like, well, it depends. If you're creating content, I never think it hurts to just hop on some storyline that's out there, a meme, or something that's trending on even like a TikTok. It's like, yeah, take your brand and kind of go do your version of it, and then it falls into the algorithm, and that's effective and everything. But as far as like, oh, our sales team has to follow MedPick because that's the golden standard. It's like, okay, well, I have a fantastic, love one of the clients I have. They sell corporate Lego kits, custom Lego kits for, employee gifting, for ABM strategies, tons of different stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, when we got HubSpot built in for them, it's like, okay, well, we're not going to follow MedPick. That's a very different sales, totally different thing. So it's like, we're not just going to follow some trend of just how to sell things. We're going to actually figure out on our own what's going to be the very best way that we can position the product. So, in that sense, it's like, know who you are, know what you can offer, and then don't necessarily just go take the best advice from whatever influencer on LinkedIn, or, whatever it is. Just really figure out what works the best for you. But then you have to be relevant. And so sometimes, to be relevant, you have to, just as painful as it is, just like, show up where people are. If people are really following one trend, then you may need to follow, you may need to jump into that trend. But it has to organically, positively, has to make sense with your brand and everything else you're offering. Can't feel weird. It has to feel organic.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about legacy, right? Let's talk about purpose. You've helped brands find their voice. So is there one turnaround or campaign that, stands out, especially that was really meaningful to you?
Yeah, I mean, wins. I mean, that's why. I mean, we're not all alley-oop the brand, basketball. Like we're not sitting here professional athletes that get to win a championship or get to win. So the business wins. I mean, you got to make them feel just about as good, right? You got to get really excited about something that you've unlocked. And I have this meme, Star Wars Phantom Menace, when Anakin's on the pod racers. It's working. It's working. So that's like when the growth engine starts to work, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, did we get 2 leads today instead of our normal 1? And then hey, we had 2 leads every day this week, and then it's 3. And so that's like my meme for every executive team that I've worked with. Is that's what I put in the Slack channel of just like, it's working. And so like that's what you're looking for. You're looking for an awesome win. I think when I was at Elyssio, I mean, just starting at 0, like we hadn't sold the product yet at all. We had a few beta users, but that was the earliest stage I'd ever joined a company. The founding team I got to know really well. One of the founders went to business school, was in my class. So that's how I knew them. But it was hard to be like, well, what, they hired me as a VP of marketing very early. And it was just their vision. They're like, we want a great brand. We want an audience from the start. Let's build that. And so I kind of was like, well, okay, if I don't have the customer stories. So I was really proud of being able to go into that market and just be like a fun brand, build community. We would host events all across the country that had, 50 to 100 people show up in a city that we had no presence in. And it was just, we figured out how to hack LinkedIn. So just like every time we had a reason to post that meme, I just absolutely love, a lot of the things I figured out there have continued to work for all my different fractional clients. And so I've loved it took me a year and a half to figure out all those things. Now I can just go and plug them in within a few weeks, and that is a massive win. That's like where you understand, really bringing someone in that has the right experience, bringing someone in that, and that's just, I just love it. I mean, you're probably experiencing this too, Gabe. We thought being at 0, none of us having done a podcast, none of us having built an audience, first time founders, we were just like, okay, we got to just start trying stuff.
Right.
And when I said, okay, we're going to launch a podcast, I have no idea if we're going to be able to get guests or if anyone would listen at all. And then I ask around. I hear about some software. I hear about a strategy on LinkedIn. I put our spin on it, and I start sending out messages. And we had 10 guests booked within like the first week or 2.
Yeah.
And they were awesome guests. Gabe, I think you may have been part of that group. Like it was just, that's a mess. To this day, I'm like, hey, I will help any company launch a podcast, which is crazy,
Right.
So I love those types of wins where you really start at 0 and then you figure it out. I mean, sometimes market shifts and it just all of a sudden works with what you're already doing, like a Zoom, for instance. Like going into COVID, that was the best thing that could have possibly happened for a company like that, right? Like they didn't change. They're already a huge company, but to like take it from 0 and not have a clue how you're going to get from A to B and then just figuring it out and getting there is so fun. So, doing our first, we went to SaaStr, and it's just like, I've never spent 60 grand on on like a conference event. I've always been like 5K here, 2K here, let's growth hack this. And then founder says, we got to be at SaaStr. And it's like, okay, I got to spend 60K and get that ROI back. How are we going to do that? And then,
Right.
fun, like we got a fun little award from one group that was looking at swag specifically. And our whole thing was like, how do we stand out? And we thought there's these pop-up shops in malls that have like clothes that are kind of like, then all of a sudden become the Lululemon or become the Built or something that, it started as a pop-up shop. So we thought, let's like find a no logo brand of clothes that looks like Lululemon, and let's put a little Elyssio logo on it.
Right.
And have that as a pop-up shop that people would be like, is this like, do I shop these clothes? And that was our swag, and it crushed. We loved it, So just little things like that where you just start at 0 and you're like, okay, let's figure it out. And if it doesn't work the first time, you just keep going until you get that. Those are the wins that I love.
Yeah, I love that, and that's such a great idea, and it's so important to stand out, and with content being everywhere, what do you think separates content that converts from content that just fills space?
I mean, the conversion, the attribution, that's just the marketers, like, that's what keeps us up at night, right? You just have nightmares about that. Day terrors too. It's not just in the night. Um, I think, like, I so when I left Alicio and I was doing a couple advisory roles and then, met with some fractional people and I said, "Hey, for the next little bit, I want to do this." And I've been doing it for about 6 months and I have fallen in love with it. I met a CRO that, our meeting talking about the brand. I really liked their software. I thought it was really interesting. But as I kept talking with them, it was like this guy's looking for leads, like just leads. And so by the end of the call, I was like, "Hey, I think you need like you need like a marketing agency to just you put in 10K and you are hoping in the next 3 months to be getting some amount out of that. And if it's not, then you need to go to the next stage." Like what I would do is different than I think what you're looking for. And so your question, Lexi, is, part of me is like the team that I want to work with is someone that wants to build something and not just get like the content that clearly tracks. All right, no, let's create the very best stuff that we can because it's not all going to be attributable, right?
Yeah.
I do about 10K in ads, which is not like my specialty, paid ads, but we do 10K in ads a month on a couple different platforms with one of my customers. And if we just said, "Hey, are we getting, 3x dollar on that 10K spend?" Like we'd close it. But the reality is we let it go long enough that we realized, wait a minute, we didn't really change anything dramatically on our organic visits to the website, but that's gone up as well. Why? Well, that's because they see the ad on the top of the thing and then they get to right. So there's like a halo effect of just like running a really strong, consistent paid program, working with a handful of creators and influencers, like building out that full effort. Now, you got to be aware if you're just throwing money away. But the reality is, if you just put out the very best product that you can, and you can track some wins and you feel like the company's growing, like there's positive, then that's where you have to just hang your hat on the attribution, right? I mean, we had our best sales month at 2 companies that I work for. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, what did marketing bring in? What did sales bring in? How much did we increase? It's like, okay, we could get super, super granular, but we just came off our best month and it's because we're working as a team and working really hard. Right. So I feel like there's just got to be that balance of like, and that's when, not that I get to be super choosy, but right. That interview I had with that guy was like, this isn't for me because like month one, 30 days in, it's going to be like my head on a platter with what leads came in. And that's just that's not the reality of how things should be run. So the groups I've been working with have been fantastic to understand that it is like, it's a strategy. We deliver the best product we can, and then we see how things go from there. But that's a great question. It's something that you just have to balance. Like you can't, everything that comes through the door doesn't say, "Well, I heard about it from here and that's going to fall into a marketing budget and that's going to do it." It's like, that's just not reality, So,
Yeah.
So for future content and future storytelling, um, let's talk about the founder who's listening right now, who's just starting out and really needs some advice from you. What would be like the one, two, three things that you advise them to do from content strategy in 2025, 2026, especially in the rise of AI and the rise of, thought leadership? And we talked podcasts, but, how would that founder, if they hired you today, what would be the first three things you tell them to do in
yeah.
today's landscape?
I mean, build in public as much as you can. That
Yeah.
first off. And I don't think you need to just, if you're a founder, you need to say, "Well, I guess I have to be an extrovert now." No, no, no. There's tons of tools. My favorite thing to do, and I take founding teams, I scrape all the LinkedIn posts that they have posted. I do a 30-minute interview with them about how they talk about their company, how they talk about the product, their background, everything. Upload that transcript, build a GPT that is named, XYZ founder, content creator. And then I just say, put in the topic and it will create a LinkedIn post for you in your voice. And yeah, that's ChatGPT. People freak out that there's like content being created by ChatGPT. Okay, remove the ampersands or the hyphens, remove the kind of ChatGPT feeling things, and that is your voice. Like, this is incredible software that's super cheap. So that's the first thing I tell teams is like, you need to be posting 3 to 5 times on LinkedIn. I will build the GPT so that you can just punch in topics and it will create content for you. That's going to be better than nothing. Do not think I have to have this beautifully worded post every time. No, they're going to flop too. I feel like I get a post that I'm just like, how did that even carry so far? And then I put some real time into something and it's like, you know, Lexi's the one that liked it. No, I don't know. Lexi, both you guys are always making good content. But I always say like build in public is a tough one, but it's like just get as much founder generated content out there at that stage. At some point, yeah, you've got 10 million in ARR and you've got lots of people doing all these things and it's like, yeah, you're that CEO is now just kind of like in a different headspace and maybe, but honestly, at every stage, there's a huge company in Utah called Awardco that they finally started, like the executive team finally. So I'm really close with the VP of marketing. I'm like, you got to get leadership content as much on LinkedIn as possible. They sell to HR leadership. It's like, the leadership team needs to be subject matter experts. Like if I'm going to buy software, yeah, the software could be a no-brainer, but if I'm also following the leadership team on LinkedIn and they are clear subject matter experts in the space that I'm buying software in, that's so much of an easier sell, right? And it's easier for me as a buyer to buy. So always recommend creating founder-led content, to not overthink it. Also, what's the one thing, like what's the one thing that's most important with marketing? Is it just getting in leads, or is it like when people come to the website that they can quickly say what it is and they're saying the thing that you want them to say, right? Like things like that, and then attack that until you've got your result and then move on to the next thing. Also, I'm such a huge fan now of finding really good talent all over the world, like whether it's Upwork or just posting a job on Indeed. Like, you hire someone and give them a timeline on it working. If it doesn't work, you move on and that's okay. And a lot of people are like, no, we need the whole team in office. Yeah, like the founding team that each has their like role and they're going to wear a million hats. But if you're like, hey, we're launching our website and we want to have an SEO blog like going consistently, well, don't go hire your like CMO type person. Go find someone to do that for you. That can be really exciting. And it might take 1 or 2 tries on different people, but like outsource some of those things so that it is effective. But that's one thing. One thing I love about the fractional role is like, hey, the reality is you don't have budget to bring in like a CMO level person because they're going to go need people to go execute on things, right?
Right.
Or you can hire a recent undergrad who's going to have to learn everything on the fly. And yeah, maybe they'll do long hours and they're not, they don't have a lot of dependents and they'll put in all this time. That's very cool. Maybe you'll find someone like that. But the fractional thing before there's clear timing for that full-time role, that clears up budget. A lot of times I bring in the SEO expert. I bring in someone that does front-end Webflow development for the website. I bring in these pieces that in the aggregate is still under the cost of like that full-time marketing role. So I love, those different aspects of it, building the whole team out. I recommend to founders, like, figure out what your core team is really good at and then figure out how to add on to that and stay focused on the one thing. And then obviously get your content out there. Like the best compliment we ever had at Alicio, because we were such a tiny team, people are like, well, I figured you had like 30 or 50 employees and there was like 5 of us. And it's like, that's amazing. Try selling software when you have 2 customers and there's 5 of you versus the look that you have 50 employees on LinkedIn. Totally different thing. So when we got complimented like that it looked like we were a much bigger company than we were. And then people be like, man, I see you everywhere on LinkedIn. Like every day I see tons of posts. I'm just like, what you want? That's what you want.
Totally agree. Well, thank you so much for your time and all the advice you've given. Can't wait to get this show out there. Who is the best person that should reach out to you and where should they look to do so?
I mean, I've enjoyed this fractional thing so much. I do want to figure out how to scale it. I'm pretty much at capacity. I'm trying to figure out how to like get that next group of people that I could work with, and I'm gonna figure it out. I know I am. I do hard things, so I'm gonna figure out how to accomplish that. But I would just say I also like, I have an hour or so dedicated every day to just meet people without any, right? So I have I've met a number of founders where I just basically say, hey, go do this, go do this, go do this. And then they'll know when it's the right time to reach back out. So just if you're a founder thinking about that first marketing hire, I think it's like the hardest thing to do. Salespeople, you immediately get performance numbers and you can validate on that. Marketing, it's like, what are you gonna? You can't just say, well, you didn't bring in leads this month. Like that's just not how it works. So it's such a tough hire. So come talk to me about it. Like, and I'm super active on LinkedIn. I don't miss a single message. Message me if you're a founder thinking about kind of what does that growth engine look like? What does marketing look like? What does branding, positioning, messaging look like? I love having those conversations. And then also people just trying to get into the game too, like maybe moving into tech SaaS, whether it's sales or marketing. I love talking to those people as well. So I dedicate windows of just meeting people and I just found an SEO expert that we're going to plug into one company that was just, that a guy that I met on LinkedIn, we had lunch with and just kind of mentored a little bit. And then he made a recommendation for someone. And then that's going to be my SEO expert. So just the networking's fun. So anyone can reach out, but I love people that are getting into marketing or those founders that are like, okay, is it full-time role? Is it not? What level do we hire at? Like, just, I'll give you some insights. I'll see what you're trying to do and what you want to accomplish and would love to chat. So
Thank you so much for being on the show, bud. We appreciate you and all that you do, and we're huge fans of everything that you've been doing. So thanks so much for jumping on the show, and anyone in the audience, definitely reach out to Justin.
same with you guys. Love the podcast. Listen all the time and keep creating content on LinkedIn. Love it.